Welcome, friends, to this special basement edition of More Bad News, brought to you as always by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge, smoke Camels for 30 days, and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. You know, Camels never really marketed to black folks. Camels was white people's cigarettes. Cools, Newport, Salem's, they were for blacks. There's a new book that I just ordered, Keith Walu, Pushing Cool, Big Tobacco, Racial Marketing, and the Untold Story of Menthol Cigarettes, which takes a deep dive into the relationship between big tobacco and the black community. But last week, I came across a Reddit post asking about the relationship between African Americans and menthols, and a black man posted, "I'm an African American, and this is quite correct. I used to smoke cigarettes, and my black friends who were smokers were shocked that I didn't smoke Cools or Newports. I was born in the 70s, and people in my family smoked that cheap menthol shit. I chose Camel Turkish Jade, which are menthol cigarettes, as I viewed Cools and Newports as ghetto or low class. So, my friends, if you want to smoke a menthol, but you don't want to smoke that low class shit, choose Camel's Turkish Jade." Well, my friends, it's been another week of very bad news. But before we get to that, I've been wanting to do a show from the basement for some time, and now I have a real reason to do it. I wanted to show you. This is my hard drive, and last week I found a home for my hard drive. For decades now, I've been doing basement tapes, which are basically journals, video journals. I use my phone sometimes. I have a thought now, so I record it and I keep it. I have over here, you can see there's most of my life was spent before all this technology, and so everything was on paper, and I have all of those records. I give you give you an idea of what my uh, hard drive looked like uh, back in the day. Uh, this is the way I kept notes, on little cards, and I have thousands of these cards, and sometimes they're typed, and sometimes they're handwritten. But the point is that the house is stuffed to the gills with my archives, and over my life, I have worried what was going to happen to my archives after I died. And then I stopped worrying about it because I realized that it didn't matter. We're all going to die. Everything's going to go. We're going extinct, and there will be no one to remember anything. So it didn't matter. It's very, just take it, put it into dumpster, and let it go. And For some time, I even thought about cremation. What's the point? I've changed my mind about cremation. I've decided that we're going to choose. We know the cemetery that it's in Grand Rapids, so I'm going to be buried in the Jewish cemetery in Grand Rapids. My body will be in Grand Rapids, and my hard drive will be at the Cummings Center for the History of Psychology at the Museum of Psychology in Akron, Ohio. So everything that I ever thought that to put down to record in my life is going to be in a museum, and I know that that's wishful thinking and delusional thinking, because in the end we're not going to survive. There will be nothing left. It's all going to go, and I'll be lucky if I die before the whole society collapses around me. But it's still, the whole week I have been floating on air, just feeling so good about the fact that it's something like guaranteed life after death. I know my hard drive is going to heaven. What can I tell you? It's just the power of our desire to have something more, and the horror, the nightmare that it's all going to come to an end, and all this great music and all this great literature and all of the great things that I mean, after all, it's been a nice run. Short, but productive. Done a lot of stuff in our short amount of time. At any rate, uh, my all of my stuff is going to the it has a home after I die. Well, folks, last week the Democrats had their moment in the sun. Most of you know that I don't believe that humans have any agency anymore, which means that I don't believe that the election will change our destiny. But I do believe that we're in full self-destruct mode. I don't think in terms of what the future might bring. I think more in terms of what the present pretends. And we live on a planet that is on fire, and we can't put the fires out. We live on a planet that's at war, and we can't manage to make peace. Right now, we're in the midst of a nuclear arms race at a time when the latest science tells us that there's a 90% chance that the AMOC is going to shut down between now and 2050, and that's the end for us. So, the end is we can see the end. We live on a planet in which the permafrost is melting. Life on this planet is doomed. There is no redemption. Our end is in sight, and it's going to be a nightmare of violence and suffering. We live in a country that is fundamentally divided. I'm not sure who is undecided, but I wager that it's less than 1% of the electorate. How many people who watch both Colbert and Gutfeld? How many people go to the Democratic rallies and go to Klan rallies? I mean, most people live in an echo chamber and only hear what they want to hear, and the other is some kind of other. They're very far away. I really don't know how the election will turn out. But I'm sure that it won't have any impact on our destiny. Even if the Democrats win the 2024 election and it all goes swimmingly well, they aren't going to be able to bring peace to the Middle East, end the war in Ukraine, stop the arms race, feed the 125 million children who are malnourished, or the 36 million children who are starving to death right now. We live on a planet that is becoming inhospitable to life, human or otherwise. We live on a planet where the orangutan are being driven to extinction so that the palm oil plantation can supply the cosmetics industry. I think the Democrats may win the popular vote, but that doesn't mean that they're going to win the election. In 2000, the Supreme Court elected George Bush president when they overturned the Florida Supreme Court ruling, which called for manual recount of districts where Democrats were undercounted. This time around, a couple of states may very well refuse to certify the election results, which means that they'll go to the House of Representatives, which is controlled by the Republicans, and then it'll go to the Supreme Court, which will say, Donald Trump is our new president. Again, we don't need to think in terms of the future. We can simply look at the present. The Republican Party is controlled by MAGA, and the Republicans control the House of Representatives. That's what the situation is. Right now, America is divided. So one final note. I have a mixed audience. Just as I've always had a lot of sympathy for the devil. It was a theme song in the last decade of my teaching. Every class began with sympathy for the devil. I've spent quality time with Klansmen and neo-Nazis. The Nazi Martin Heidegger has been a profound influence on my thinking. For years, my best friend in town here was a Charity Baptist church a pastor, a fundamentalist Southern Baptist, lahavdil, not to be mistaken for Nazis, but someone very different from my orientation. When I was teaching about the Nazis in my history class, I used to tell my students that they had to decide if I was a Jew pretending to be a Nazi or a Nazi pretending to be a Jew. So it should come as no surprise that my audience is mixed. So, and I'm not going to say anything about the delusional fools who believe that we have a future. With that, I think I'll bring it to an end this week. I love you all. Once again, I don't know why people watch me from week to week, but I delight, just as I delight in my life after death, I delight in my audience. And have a good week. I'll see you next week. And keep safe.